one of the idioms that I learned not too early in my English language career, so to speak, a hard act to follow. And today there's a dozen hard acts to follow. That makes it even harder. I have it. Yeah, there's not. Let me start with a little powerful concept. In his article, The Reflective Encounters, one of the many Chinese-American scholars of cross-cultural rhetoric, Lu Mao, I'm sure some of you know him, uses the concept of reflective encounters in order to explain this conundrum and difficulty of cross-cultural rhetorical scholars of cross-cultural rhetoric who, for the last maybe 200 years since Western scholars started visiting China, other Eastern countries and cultures, for many, many, many decades, they simply try to describe other cultures' rhetorical traditions and practices in their own terms. And so the Chinese all went around about, the Indians were too mystical, and then nobody made sense, obviously, because we're using our terms to describe them. And Mao really uses the simple concept that in order to avoid that, we need one conceptual shift, and another one we need a methodological shift. Conceptually, when you use your own terms, you may misunderstand somebody very easily. Second, if you try to find universal terms, you may still be using your terms only simply calling them universal. That doesn't make any difference. And methodologically, therefore, what you do is to be ready to encounter other people, and when you encounter, it will seem odd. Things will make no sense. People will act bizarrely. When that happens, encounter that experience as if you're looking in the mirror. Why did I find that odd? What do I not know about them? What is it that makes me think this is roundabout? Right? Obviously there must be something. So that's my approach. I wanted to start by sharing Lu Mao's powerful concept of reflective encounters because both as a teacher and a researcher, when I go around the country, and I encounter students from many different cultures. Just because I'm an outsider here doesn't mean that I understand all outsiders. So when I see different groups of different new students and encounter them in different contexts or levels, that's the approach that I take, both as a teacher and as a researcher. I grew up right next to China in Nepal, but it's kind of odd that I never crossed the northern border, not only because there's lots of mountains, but somehow didn't happen. It was only last year that I went to China for a conference of Writing Across Borders, conference in Guangzhou. However, even though, in spite of that lack of direct exposure and experience, Chinese students, simply because they're half of our student population in the classroom and 1/3 in our research population, Chinese students and their experiences are front and center in my research. So let me start by quickly sharing a little bit of a context into current literature and in my own study by briefly highlighting a problematic profile of the Chinese students. Then I'll look at how the universities that I visited, 20 of them in person, 21 actually in person, and more than a dozen of them distantly, to see how those advocates and those people who wanted to go beyond those profiles and myths about Chinese students actually have a more sophisticated understanding, a nuanced understanding of the students, and what that understanding and that refusal to look at profile of the students, what difference that made in their service and their support. And finally, I'll share a quick stories and share a few recommendations. Here's my research. This is the intersection of international studies of international students, academic, social, cultural, linguistic, and then that's academic socialization that comes from applied linguistics and social linguistics and other fields as well as writing studies. But I am a specialist in graduate student writing support, so that's where the intersection happens. What I'm saying to my colleagues in my department is don't stay there. Listen to international students as international students. And also remember to situate that in the context of academic transition and support. So right there in the center, I want to draw a big one here because I believe, even though those are very hyper-specialized, there's a big domain there, and there more needs study needs to be done. So the current research, if you look at it, my current research, 20 universities plus 1,000 distantly, 200 individuals involved in the interviews, extensive field notes, 40 international graduate students, 12 of them were Chinese, and today I'm going to draw on their stories in order to share some perspectives, which will also sort of highlight some of the issues of all graduate students, but I focus on graduate students in particular. And I talked to administrators and staff and professors and others. The approach that I took was snowballing, basically going from one place to another, asking for where they know best work is happening, so that I get to talk to people who was telling the best practices, the most successful programs and initiatives. And then, but I use scale course for best practices because what is best in one place may not be the best in other places. It really depends. It's a very, very risky term. And the approach that I take is grounded theory analysis. I code the data, I theme the data, and then once I'm done with coding, theming, and finding these issues and categories, I go back to listen to student stories and pick out stories that are really able to tell, represent and reflect some of those issues through stories rather than numbers. I'm not a number type. My training is not a number type, so that I go into the narratives. So let's start with this persisting profile of the Chinese student. First, there is a set of dominant topics and assumptions that undergird what I call the profile of Chinese students, which begins with weakness and deficits. What can they do? What don't they know? Where do they not go? Who do they not make friends with? I really wonder why we ask these questions. What if we flip that and start with what do they do? What are they good at? What can they contribute? And I do the same in my classroom too. Instead of saying, you don't know English, I just go to class and say, this is a writing class, so if you're bad English, doesn't matter. So you look like this. What do you know? Right? So yeah, you know things, don't you? Yes. You can read, can't you? Yes. You can do some research out, and I'll show you how to. You can talk to other students, Chinese students, and the next step will be I'll put you in touch with the Chinese bilingual, so that you at least understand American college issues with the Chinese speaker. And then the third step, I'm going to push you to go into a Long Islander. At that point, you will have developed enough things to say, and you don't have to use Chinese anymore. But why not start with Chinese? So yes, I give a topic and say, use any language. This is writing class. And then I also joke that if you write a paper in Chinese, the syllabus never says it's an English course. Is that right? I'm in trouble. Please don't do that. Right? Then I'm going to have to hire someone to read that paper because nobody doesn't say that it's an English class. But anyway, so trying to just reflectively encounter these seemingly simple things that we do while assuming they lack this, they don't. So that's one thing that I want to really start with. And in the case of Chinese students in particular, it is language, right? And why is that? Even when it doesn't matter, right? They're not always being tested on their language. They have to be challenged on their research, they have to be challenged on their knowledge, they have to be challenged on their perspective. And simply changing that narrative really changes programs and initiatives, research, and teaching. The other one is demographic and generalities. It's good that we want to draw attention, we want to get funding, we want to establish the existence of our research, we're going to get our book proposal approved. And for those reasons, and we want to really solve problems by identifying patterns. But what if we look beyond patterns? Why not? Right? And like many speakers have, luckily for me, have sort of fleshed out and highlighted, so I don't need to go into that. But the static view of students also leads to static view of ourselves, which is if I see that I'm only a writing teacher, I can't help but with the problem you're having with then I limit myself by sort of, as the byproduct of the static view of students, is static view of ourselves. Like the first training that I got when I was first a teacher at the age of 18 was the trainer saying, what are the words and terms and images that come to mind when you think about a teacher? And I was new. I said, teacher? I sat there, and there's a bunch of people who have more experience. This was my first month of teaching in an elementary school. At the end, by the end of the session, the presenter had really bubbled on a big board. Friend, colleague, mentor, guide, coach. And the board was full. And today when I go into the classroom, I don't think I'm just a writing teacher. I can be a lot of other things. And so the sort of the corollary of looking at students as static generalities is also looking at ourselves as static generalities and specializations and silos, so that we don't break out of those. When we face new groups of students, new challenges, who was anticipating this challenge we're facing with travel ban right now? We need to expand our roles and put on new hats and bundle our way into this new needs and new crisis, right? And so that's the kind of thing that I bring into the research as well as the classroom. So the persisting profile, just to give you a quick example. I was reading this flyer at a university where an expert was offering an orientation support, and let me read that quickly. The flyer starts like this, and I encountered the same flyer at Moscow University. It might be a very famous expert. Congratulations, it begins. You're enrolling a record number of students from China. You're hoping that this incoming class of Chinese students will have a higher attendance for orientation that in last year's. Participate in class, uphold academic integrity, make friends with domestic students, you see if this goes, and more involved in on-campus activities outside campus. But if you can anticipate from what kind of butt move this is trying to make. In the rhetoric class, I talked about the famous American butt move. But the reality is that most of these students conceptually do not understand plagiarism, conceptually, or volunteering, or career development, especially if you use English to explain these foreign concepts. We also have to remember that Chinese students are spoon-fed and told what to do by their teachers and parents, and it goes on. I'm thinking, that's not my student. If I go into the class and focus on the negative and the deficit, yeah, the students will define themselves in that way, because they will adopt it, internalize it. But if I go into class and say, your guys are smart, amazing, you know so many things that I don't, now let's start talking. That brings out a different student from the same student. And so that's not what I look at. It may be true for some of them, not all of them, but even for those that, when this is true, why do we start there? Why do we obsessively focus there? Why do we stop there? And so let me move on a little quickly to the themes and the stories with themes and perspectives. One is, of the dozen students I interviewed, the Chinese students, I compared the data with other students, and I kind of found that it was a more intense level of these themes among Chinese students. The ingenuity, the resilience, I use the term hacking in a very positive sense. The sort of, because of the community, because of the nature of graduate education, because of their perceived and real challenges, these students were taking a very non-linear path into academic transition. Instead of going from English language to writing to identity development in the disciplines to professional growth, they actually started with a dessert. And then go back to language later on. It's very interesting how often they did that. The third was, students had a very complicated sense, especially after the first semester or year, they had a very complicated sense, and they went through the struggle of this multiple identities, multidimensionality of their own sense of self and belongingness. And finally, I saw that this rapid transition that the university program doesn't seem to understand. They have a static view, and so we designed a certain program. They said the thing is true the first semester, second, fourth, seventh. That's not true. And these four things, I'd like to quickly illustrate with student stories. Ingenuity and resilience. I would call students, I'm not used to the full names, but acronyms, initials, LC. LC is a doctoral student in a material science and engineering department at Northeastern University, who shared with me how she completed a high-stake writing assignment called the thesis proposal a few months before I interviewed her a few years ago. by piecing together different skills and resources that she got from different people and places. For instance, she said that in the summer of 2015, she finished writing a preliminary proposal. Quote, I asked for help myself with a senior student at a PhD level, she told me. The senior student, quote, had a kind of model that her advisor had given her. My advisor only helped at the end when it was time for proofreading. But not like my advisor, who read paragraph by paragraph, so he had a better model. My advisor just gave a lecture in class about how to write a proposal, so I had to go to another friend, because he did not know this friend who gave a model very well enough. But she went to another friend who would give her a lot more time, so she sat, she discussed, she got feedback, and finished the proposal. Then she got another native English speaker to look at the language and editing. She went to the professor because she was afraid that she would be penalized for writing. And what is really amazing is that she was assessed on the basis of the process and the product of that thesis proposal. It did not only involve language and rhetoric, it also involved content and disciplinary position taking. It involved identity formation and the developing of a voice. Why wasn't the professor involved in that process? Why would the professor just say, I don't tolerate language errors? It's not language errors. Language is only a tip of the iceberg. I'm going to talk about that in a moment with images. But that's what happened to her. And so I was thinking, this is why the programs and curricula and supporting this are really missing the point. We're not really understanding what these students are going, how they're piecing together different resources, how they're collaborating, networking, and hacking through the system. My next student, and she used Grammarly, an app that I really hate because I think that it messes with the student learning process. And she basically said, I learned from many people and many places. But that's not how I look at it. I go to the Writing Center. The Writing Center view of things is that we support anybody and everybody. But we only see about 2% of graduate students and 5% of undergraduate students. Where do we 98% of graduate students go? Especially when the professors may not be, many of them may not be engaged with their students in the process of writing. Maybe 96% of them are left with this ingenuity and their own personal networks. So the next one is non-linear. Why? They don't go through this linear process, but instead start and end anyway. And it's quite multidimensional. I call it CY. She was an MBA student at a large university. 90 of them were Chinese out of 100 Chinese international students in the same program. And this student said she's not worried about writing. Yeah, because 90 of us are Chinese. Our professor designed tests that really doesn't involve a lot of writing, because they know we can't write. Interestingly enough, this student is not even interested in any of the activities of board reckoning. She goes outside the university into 2 environmental activism clubs. And she said, let me try to read something. She said, I can't find the exact quote, but she said, I'm not interested in the writing support, I'm not interested in other academic support because I get something better out there. Because when I'm involved in this community, they care what I have to say, I care what they have to say, and because we care, we tend to talk a lot, and talking a lot and understanding the non-profit organization which I want to work in the future, I understand the context, the people, and the professional network. And therefore, by the time I finish my 2-year degree, while other students are still stuck in the writing center, I have a job. Because they would not, at the job interview, they would not say, can you write? They would interview me orally. I thought, man, that's pretty smart. And so again, the students and the design of the system did not align together because we were not following the students. We were not understanding them. We were not building on their stories. The other one is a Chinese student. I call her CH. She is more of a colleague now. That's about to finish her PhD. Very active in the International Writing Group at the National Council of Teachers' latest yearly conference. And CH studied English literature in China, but then she switched because she didn't like the way post-colonialism was taught, which was very interesting. And then she talked about the complex identity more, more in a more sophisticated manner than I've ever heard. This is quite a topic in my field. But she said, think about me. On the one hand, when my car breaks down, I have nobody to call. But that's only one me. These other students are the rich. They're going to, this fancy vacations, like fellow Chinese students. I'm not. I'm poor. And I'm a female. My evaluations are not as good. As a teaching assistant, my evaluations are not as good as my male counterparts. And one of my friends, my closest American friends, constantly corrected my English until last week. When he found out, by observing my class, that actually I bring a lot of perspectives into writing and the teaching of writing, and he thought I should stop commenting your English because you bring so many amazing perspectives that I should be learning from you instead of constantly correcting your English. And so she has this very, very complex, multidimensional, intersectional identity. She belongs here, doesn't belong here, she is. And so she has gone, faced bias and prejudice, and this is not only double but multiple consciousness. And she thinks about membership, leadership, and relationship in the modern culture. She's very much here. It's a fourth year of being here. And finally, I'll skip through this one, the rapid transition is also something that we really need to understand. We need to design a system which should stop using our still cameras and take a video camera that will really capture the story of the international student. Because otherwise, if you look at the student as they arrive and then define them in terms of those challenges, all of these students going through other changes and challenges are uncovered. So recommendations, quickly. Well, this is the image that I was talking about in a moment ago. If you think about writing, the first thing is competency. I call it the 5C model. You see the competency in writing, you think that is the reason they're struggling in writing, really. They may not know how to organize or connect or rhetorically write persuasively or understand the genre, the lessons. It may go deeper. In fact, they may not have read the text that they need to read or understand the content that they need to write about. And in the case of graduate students, content is not what the book or article says. It's the intellectual position that they need to take. That makes it a problem. The language may be fine. That is why when I look at a scientific paper of my PhD students in my class, I teach a graduate course, writing course. The graduate section is fantastic. The results section is fantastic. The discussion is fine. The introduction is horrible. Because it was not, it was a rhetorical challenge. But if the results finding section is breaking down, it probably can't. And when the content breaks down, everything breaks down too. So that's what we miss because we're paying too much attention on one side and on the other. Next is, at the graduate level, we also need to understand the professional, social, political, and economic context. Because how would you write a grant proposal if you don't understand the political scenario? And finally, confidence. Because sometimes what happens is all that student is lacking is confidence. They know it, they can write, and therefore, this is again the dynamics, complexity, and intersectionality of student experience that we've missed. So my recommendation is, one, recognize the challenges, do not gloss over, but don't start and focus and obsess about them. Foster their agency so that they can explore the ecology of support mechanisms on campus. Don't believe that just because you're the right entity, you're the only person helping from there. Embrace advocacy. Work with other people to facilitate students' interactions with graduate students' growth and support, and help them to become advocates for themselves. Recognize diversity and intersectionality. Start with strength and view university as a crossroads on a wall of community. There's this discourse from the 1990s that people can't get over. Discourse community of practice. As if the insiders are there, outsiders will come and gradually assimilate, and then they become insiders and everybody's good. But in a global, mobile world, I think university should be seen as a crossroads of people coming together, sharing, learning, shaping, challenging, changing each other, right? And so what Chinese students give me, to go back to the reflection analogy, is to really think about what can they do to me to become a better teacher, a better researcher, rather than what can I do to them.
very refreshing perspective to look at cases among those students he follows in different universities. Since this is a panel, so it's my pleasure to invite my co-organizer of this panel, Karen Fisher, to come to make some comments and analysis, what we call the role of discussant. Karen?
I promise not to take up too much of your time. I know that you probably have in this audience a lot of observations, a lot of questions. And so, I just wanted to reflect on a couple of things. The first thing is I was thinking through the first research on TAs, and while, as I mentioned, we've certainly seen a lot of growth in international undergraduate enrollments, I think it's really important to step back and to think about sort of the role that our international students and our Chinese students play in our talent pipeline. I've been thinking about just purely the numbers. I mean, I know that part of your research was looking at some issues, particularly in STEM. When we think about our graduate enrollments, and it is very heavily weighted towards students particularly in STEM, towards international students, whereas about a third of our graduate students are international in doctoral programs. More than half of them are in the STEM fields. And so really when we talk about the issues and the challenges that teaching assistants face, in some ways we're really, the international teaching assistants face rather, in some ways we're really talking about the challenges that just teaching assistants, period, are facing. And so I think it really was helpful for me in hearing some of the work that you were doing to think about how to sort of pick apart what often I get sort of people, this complaint will turn up in my mailbox about how, I can't understand our teaching assistant, and they don't speak English properly, and how am I supposed to learn if I can't, even figure out what they're talking about, never mind the subject matter. And so I think it really offered some pretty sort of a direction to go, and the potential sort of the basis for strategies to take. I know you're not a policy maker, but to think about how best to effectively ensure that the teaching assistants at the undergraduate level are effective in terms of improving their English language abilities. I was particularly struck by just sort of your findings about just the importance of kind of being aware of your actual levels of English, and sort of knowing where you start from could really help you move further ahead in some sense. I'm going to maybe move to Sam for a minute, because we'll keep the graduate student issues together, because I know, Jeff, you're talking about such a huge population of students. But I think I wrote down one of the particular sentences you thought that you said, Sam, because it struck me so much, which is the student system the system we have doesn't always align with the student experiences. And in some ways, maybe we're talking about it not really aligning necessarily with the students' needs either, which is, I think, Jeff, some of what you were getting at as well. I think in the same way that we can think about things from a particularly American perspective, and assume this is the way that things work and the way they are, I think that also applies to the universities, and we can have kind of a static definition of what success is and what the correct route is to that success. And so, I was really struck by kind of the ingenuity that some of your students were experiencing. One thing made me think, and this is not necessarily within the scope of your research, but it made me think, why were each of these students getting to a point and finding not taking the path that we would say, oh, well, clearly, we're all in higher education. This is, you're supposed to walk down this straight line. And instead, they were finding this other route to go. And was it because for them, they were finding that there was some sort of stumbling block, to kind of abuse the metaphor, that there was some sort of, gulf or crack, and they had to go this way because they were, they really, even though for us, it looked like a straight line and a straight path for them to follow, for them, they were identifying within themselves reasons that this path wasn't going to work the most successfully, or perhaps not work at all for them? Or was there something else that they were seeing? Maybe it was tapping the passions was going to help that student improve her English and improve her writing because she cared. Whereas maybe in her MBA studies, she was not so motivated and so excited, and so thus, this is not unique certainly to international students. It's common for many students that if you are not engaged and you're not enthused, that it can be more difficult to learn things. And so it really sort of made me start thinking about a lot of the assumptions that make me, I do hear a lot about the challenges. Partly it's probably a function of what I do. People come and talk to me about the problems that they're encountering, but it was really sort of an interesting wake-up call to kind of hear about the ingenuity of some of the solutions. And maybe even in some cases, things where we would see it as not being a success, if you really sort of saw where the student ended up, oh, that's a success, even if they didn't take the path that we thought they ought to be on. And then, Jeff, I was really fascinated with some of the work that you're doing, because I think a lot of us are really sort of have this gut level idea about some of the challenges that our universities face, but the fact that you sort of sat down and tried to systematically look at and pull apart why things weren't working quite the way that you wanted for your international students, and particularly for your Chinese students. And it then sort of struck me as, some of the things I was talking about this morning, where we think we are getting the right messages, we think we are doing the right thing, and either they're not being received in that way, or perhaps they have these secondary unintended consequences that we're not thinking of. So, for example, you mentioned the issue of safety, and I guess I would probably say from Chinese parents, after I get those questions about the jobs and what's going to happen to my kid, the safety issue is one that I hear about constantly. And yet you have so many of your students not even aware of the fact that of sort of the benefits of their health insurance, and the fact that, this is what's here to take care of you and to keep you safe. Likewise, I think it's suggested a number of places in which there are opportunities to make a difference, and things are just kind of not happening. The fact that so many of your students were not participating in clubs, it made me wonder why weren't they? Were they not thinking that they were for them? Were they thinking of extracurriculars as extra and not rather kind of co-curricular activities that were going to further and enhance their education? The same thing with orientation. Again, it's something that we see as something that's going to help and enable and further our students' experience. And the students were saying this was a waste of my time. Sorry, I'm trying to read my own handwriting. You have to apologize to me. My mother wished that I would become a doctor, and the only part of that actually happened is I have handwriting like a doctor. I guess the last thing really that struck me was your graphic about the academics, and I would really love to. I don't know how much. Maybe if June has his way and he gets everybody to collaborate, where colleges can do that kind of work. But I would be really curious to see what the influx of international students, and particularly of Chinese students, what issues that has had for academic performance and retention, and then to kind of further go down into that data and ask why is it? What's the mismatch? Is it a language thing? Is it a acculturation thing? Is it because we are seeing students are perhaps less academically prepared? And certainly, as you can tell from my talk this morning, I'm very curious about these issues of what happens in the third stage of the international student experience. And so I'm very curious about your efforts with bringing on people to focus on career counseling and on that kind of piece of the student cycle. So I guess I should turn over to you, James. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karen. This is wonderful to summarize and also highlight some of the key points we just heard. As you know, we started at 8 o'clock, and it's almost, but not yet, done with today's forum. You probably wonder why is it I didn't have any chance to ask questions. We haven't discussed the issue because we have packed speeches and plenary and a panel, but we do plan for you to share with others your perspectives and interact with questions. So what we plan to do from now to 5 o'clock, actually 5 o'clock is not the end. 5 o'clock means winding down to have reception. Okay? So between now and 5 o'clock, we have two important things to do. One is to take a break, right? And the second is to organize a few round tables. You will self-designate to be a particular table because we have 6 different themes for 6 tables. So if you are interested, you feel you have questions that you want to discuss, then you can affiliate yourself, go to table 1 or table 2. I'm going to tell you which 6 tables. So you can chat, but we do want, okay, so we have 6 themes. And actually you, all right, huh? The same, yeah. We feel that there are enough discussion talking about recruitment, admission, and marketing. So I want that to be table 1. If you are interested in that issue, go to table 1. Admission and recruitment. Table 2 is using the life cycle. After they arrive, orientation and advising. I want this to be table 2 thing. Orientation and advising. Number 3 is language issues. We heard again and again, we experienced some language, competence, communication. So language issues related with academic writing or ESL programs, intensive English programs. And number 4, table 4 is student services. Housing, meals, transportation, rooming, all those kind of issues. That's table 4. Table 5 is more related to acculturation. How can we help students gain communicative competence, acculturate themselves to be adapted to this culture, and also related to what activities we design for students beyond the classroom. So classroom extra activities, acculturation. And last but not least is academic issues, as we heard about challenges in the courses, and styles, and academic integrity, plagiarism. So once again, 6 tables. We have 8 tables. So if you don't feel like you belong to each of the 6, you go to table 7, form your own group, okay? And or if you feel you want to be alone, go to table 8. So once again, table 1, admission recruitment. Table 2, orientation and advising. Table 3, language issues. Table 4, student services. Table 5, acculturation. Table 6, academic issues. Wait a minute, I have two more things to say. First, each table you will introduce yourself and designate a leader, and designate as reporter. So when we finish the discussion, at 4:30, you will come back, report to others, share with us. Tasks are 3 top challenges in your issue, and 3 recommendations. If you cannot come up with 3, at least 1.5. Okay? So that's important. And also, for those of you who have to leave, I understand your needs. Do not forget this evaluation sheet. You will fill it in and give it to Michelle or our staff because we value your opinion. This is our first time try this format. If you like it, don't like it, don't leave without leaving your opinion. Okay? Thank you very much. Take a break, and then we are going to see you in the chapel where we had a lunch earlier.